Walk with me. The way I carry this weight graceful is so different. Cause my path and your path is so different. And they ain't never the same things, it's so shifting. Gotta adjust so much, feel like I'm cold shifting. When you ain't gaining no ground, the pain ain't around. It's only when you trying to be great, they tearing you down. Got a hindsight of these snakes, they properly found. And I ain't boxing in the dirt with you. I let that metal get a hearse for you. I'm condescending, got a verse for you. Whatever it takes, I display the world through you. Ain't got enough time to explain the world to you. All I can do is make your skin tougher. Gonna be some hard times cause men struggle. Especially when you trying to move, the devil send for you. That's why I always play the groove, but I ain't dance for you. I keep both of my hands clean, I put a band on. I season beef before I cook while I stand over. Your poker face telling it all, yeah the scam's over. And I ain't never been victimized, so I can't coach you through a victim's eyes. All I can show you is my village planted seeds, then it grew, now I visualize. So the struggles I go through, it ain't a curse, it's a gift from God. And I've been grateful with having nothing and I'm still alive. If I ain't never told the truth, I guess it's just a lie. If I ain't never told the truth, I guess it's just a lie. I guess I'm made for this grit, but shit is still a lie. And I can't give you the whole thing, I conceal a lot. I put these glasses on in the storm, it revealed the plot. And show my enemies from afar like I'm at the dock. I know it's deeper than you thought, but what ocean is not. If I ain't never told the truth, I guess it's just a lie. If I ain't never told the truth, I guess it's just a lie. What's going on? What's going on? What is going on, family? What's up with y'all tonight? What is going on? Just thanks for just stopping in tonight, man, for another, Let's Talk podcast series. Tonight, tonight we are going to talk about something that's a very just something very, good that I always wanted to kind of speak on is we're going to talk about rebuilding self-worth. You know, self-worth. Like so when we think about the topic of self-worth, right? Um a lot of times when it comes to self-worth, people get that confused with self-esteem, which they do within the same bucket. But your self-worth is what you stand on. It's the thing that you know that you stand for and what you're about. You know, I mean, knowing your worth is the first step to pure guidance in your life is you knowing your worth. Whenever a person truly doesn't know their worth, they're going to make so many mistakes because they're basing their self-worth off of somebody else. So knowing your self-worth, what I mean, is very important. And sometimes we have to rebuild it. Um Sometimes our self-worth is trampled. It's sometimes we can get got. Sometimes we can somebody can take advantage of just our heart and our spirit and do some things to us that may kind of crush that self-worth a little bit because we invested too much. Um But first off, I want to say thanks to everybody who's been tapping in to these Let's Talk series. These series is like I said, I've been touching mental health topics. These are all within the mental health realm. Topics like this about self worth. I also been touching corporate politics for African Americans, black male, female, African Americans like myself specifically. But I'm touching it for every whatever for everybody. Um, so the reason, and it's been going good. A lot of good interaction, a lot of good feedback. Um, but on the corporate one, gosh.
it's like in this in my UPNO live podcast like chat for my subject when I talked about blacks in corporate America, and I talked about the perception of how people look at us as angry black men, and you know what I mean, like how our voice is just so terrifying. Like to see us get upset, it's just you know what I mean. It's a big deal, and the perception of it can get taken out of hand. So I when I spoke on that, one of my clips spoke on it. Oh my gosh, y'all! They and they still on there ripping me apart. Like I mean, and you want to, and you think I'm sorry, you think racism is dead? Y'all know it ain't dead, but if you thought it was anywhere near like not what it is, man, they is on there going ham. And the thing about it is being try when you're going into the realm of influencer, you can't let it bother you. If anything, like yeah, run it up, y'all. Keep going, share it to this person, share it to that person. When if you don't like, you know, because it offended some because they didn't listen to the whole thing of the perception. Like really, I'm talking about how it's bad upon us, how we look. You know, we get upset or angry, but they're looking at it like I'm talking about it like it's something to boast on. But anyway, it's crazy. But yeah, for those of you like that scene that's on that and comment, hey, run it up, man, make it go viral, please. Give me 1 million views on that. I love it. I love it, and I'm glad I got y'all attention. So hopefully I can get you guys attention on this with self-worth. So anyway, but yeah, thanks for everybody for just tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Let me show some vulnerability with you guys and talk about these things I've been wanting to just get out for so long. But thank you. Um, so yeah, tonight I just like I said, I want to touch on self-worth. Um, you know, a lot of times some of us we lose self-worth. We lose our self-worth when we're caught up in a situation or things get too crazy in life and we really start reaching and going like outside the box, and we lose ourself and we lose our self-worth. We lose what our core thing about us that makes us us. So real quick, I always like to, I've been kind of always taking my notes. I want to touch topics and then go off of that. What self worth really is, right? Self worth is your inner belief that you are inherently worthy of love, belonging, and happiness. Your inner belief that you are inherently, like, you inherit the right to be loved, to belong, and to be happy. You inherit that right when you're born. That right is inherited when you're born to be loved, to feel like you belong, and to be happy. You inherit that. That's like just think when you're a kid, you were loved. You know what I mean? You felt like you belonged, and you were as a young kid, like we're innocent. We're always happy. We felt loved, and you know what I mean. We always felt like we belonged to, you know what I mean. But as you get older, that's when those things start to come in questioning, and that's how you build your self worth. Because the thing about building self worth is when those things, as you get older, you start looking at it, and you can start what is they uh you can kind of distinguish, determine, you know what I mean, where do you belong, what's making you happy, or you know what I mean, or if you're being loved or not as you get older. But as you're young, you just feel it. Like as a kid, you just feel it. And the more older you get, it seems like that's when those things starts getting distinguished. And then from there on, you start to develop your identity, right? So as you developing your identity, you start really building that self worth. Um, It doesn't rise and fall based on performance or other people's approval. That's self-esteem. Um, yeah, that's self-esteem. Self-worth is the steady foundation beneath everything. Relationships, goals, boundaries, and peace of mind. So, if I know my self-worth in a relationship, I know what I'm going to tolerate, I'm not going to tolerate. I know how I want to feel, I know how what makes me happy. Like, I know all those things. In my goals, to know my self-worth in my goals is to mean, like, to understand there's no goal that I can't get to if I don't put my mind to it, because I know my self-worth. I know what I'm about. I know how I'm going to go after something. um my boundaries, I know when to cut things off. Like, if I don't know my self-worth, I'm limitless to any boundary. Like, whatever, whatever y'all doing, whatever y'all on, I'm on, because I don't have a self-worth. You know what I mean? It's like, so whatever y'all trying to do. And when it comes to peace of mind, that's that switch that says, I know my self-worth, I know what I'm about, I know what I'm going to do, I know what brings me my peace, and I'm going to have it. Whenever your self worth for yourself isn't built right or it's not in check, all those things, all those things are kind of scattered. You're going off the limbs of everybody else, because, you know what I mean, you haven't developed, like, my self worth is this. So right now, when it's out of control, it's just, you know what I mean, you just doing things off, you know what I mean, you really don't know what you about. So, but what happens though is, somebody, people, one thing I learned in life, people can really damage your self-worth. Um you guys ever hear the story, not the story or the saying of, I got to get my swag, I got to get my mojo back. This ain't me. I ain't this ain't even me. This ain't what I do. Um you A lot of people find that out when they just get in the slump, and they're doing things that ain't them. Like, cuz if I'm not on my A game, it's just I'm doing a lot of things that don't seem like I'm on my A game. Like, I'm just off. And then when my A game kick back in, I'm like, I'm back on it. This is me. You know what I mean? Like, I got it back. You know what I mean? And it's that that bounces back. You know what I mean? But, knowing your self worth, it's always about having that gut check about yourself. And a lot of times, our self worth, it kind of comes in question. It gets in deep questioning of, what I mean, am I capable? Am I possible? We get to questioning ourselves. So let's talk a little bit how it gets broken. Self worth rarely collapses all at once. It wears down over time. We just give up. We just kind of slowly start, that explosiveness about us slowly starts wearing down. And that's when the people you usually say, man, what's going on with such and such? Man, they ain't feel like they've been themselves. You know what I mean? And it's just like, man, they ain't on with, you know what I mean? They ain't their usual vibrant selves anymore. And they don't have that goal. I remember when that person, they don't have it anymore. You know what I mean? Uh, so, like I said, it kind of wears down. When it gets broken, it kind of wears down over time. How does it wear down? Through criticism that became familiar. Through criticism that became familiar. So let's talk about that. You know, Somebody kind of called you out on something, criticized something you do, and the thing about it, it probably was somewhat of a flaw that you didn't know you had, and you may have had that high self worth, but somebody pointed out something that was wrong, or something you didn't do as good as you thought you did. Um, you let that criticism define you. You let that criticism really overtake you, instead of saying like, okay, taking it in stride and just like whatever it is, noticing it and just keep going. You let it sink in and it starts soaking into your self worth and you start losing that thing about you because, you know, that's the one thing about when you feel like you got it all under control and somebody kind of pulls your card. Some people don't take it the right way. Some people don't take criticism right. They sit on it and they just can't let it go. Uh, through relationships that made you shrink. That's big. I've been there. I've been there. Uh, gosh, my go get thing was I used to, everything I do, I used to always go. With me, my main thing has always been my music and my promoting and stuff like that. I used to go, so hard, but I put myself in situations, whether it was a relationship or a marriage or whatever, that it shrunk me. It shrunk me. Nobody saw me. I was low low. I was like off the face of the earth low. Um, it shrunk me because of what I did, what I was, you know, things that got put out there. It it put me in a box. You know what I mean? Because really, and when we get to thinking we're doing the right thing, we kind of move away from some things that really defines our self worth because we think we're doing something else better, right? But from that, we're not feeding our self worth; we're feeding somebody else's self worth. Um, through failures that were never reframed as lessons. Uh, yeah, yeah, being failing at something and never learning from it and never taking it as a lesson, just taking it as, well, this happened in my life, so I'm a failure, and you know another damaging point to my self-worth. I did feel like this. I did feel my self-worth to be way up here, but when these things start happening, it just really made me, some people be like, I guess I guess I really ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when people get to really having that pity party, like I talked about in one of the other streams, sometimes that pity party can take you completely under and it starts messing with your self worth and you never get it back. So, over time, the messages settle in. I'm not enough. I don't deserve nothing good. My feelings don't matter. Like, over time, and that's as you're slowly doing that, you're killing your self worth. Because first of all, you get to thinking, say you fail on something and something doesn't go through, and you just keep and you ain't getting nothing going for you, nothing good's popping off. Your self worth starts declining because you're like, maybe I ain't supposed to have nothing good. Maybe ain't nothing supposed to happen in my life. Maybe I'm supposed to be miserable and all that, and maybe how I feel really don't matter. You know, you start and building block by building block. When that happens, you look up and your self-worth has gone from up here, from, what I mean, to like you get to a mid-age, and then, don't forget, I ain't gonna lie, midlife crises are true. Midlife crisis, I've had them. I'm 46. I'm probably due for my last one coming up here before I hit 50. you know, that's crazy before I hit 50. But you know what I mean? But they're there. And I think when those times come, it's just a gut check to see, okay, where am I at? Where do I need to evaluate what is me? How can I bounce back? And if I feel like I'm not doing what I need to do, let's bounce, what I mean? Let's get it back in control. Having control and never letting your self-worth decline and without doing something about it. Right. So common sources include childhood environments where love felt conditional. So how that matters is how that may affect you as you get older is your self-worth is basically valued off of how people are making you feel. And if you were in that type of environment where, okay, let's put it like this. Let's say you got two sides of your family, your mom's side, your dad's side. Let's say when you go over to your mom's side, the love was just like, oh, everybody loved you. It's just like you felt the love when you walked in there. And then let's just say when you went over your dad's side, you went in and it was like the love was conditional, meaning it didn't come from everybody, meaning that it was based on what you did, long as you're doing right. I'm not talking about nothing about me because both sides of my family was the best, the most love. I got love from both sides. My mom's side and my dad's side. But for some people, right, it's like it's a side of the family where it's unconditional love from everybody, and then sometimes there's other sides of the family where the love is conditional based on where you're at in life. Okay, let's just say, okay, let's keep it real. Let's say you have a strict Christian valued or religious family, right? And that's not you. So maybe the vibes when you're around, the love ain't you ain't feeling it. Like you don't feel like you belong because of that, you're not in that same cloth or in that same religious and as the rest of your family. And some people have like complete families. Let's talk about the Jehovah Witness families and different families like that, or certain Christian values, you know what I mean, that are like that. You know what I mean? Because it sometimes it can feel awkward. It can feel awkward, but I can truly say a lot of those families, from what I know, they love is love every no matter what the situation is. But it rare occasions it could happen, and it's just not religion. It can be, let's just say, a family's in a, I don't know, your family's all doctors and lawyers, and that's not what you want to be. You know what I mean? It's just like it then comes that sense of not belonging. So it's just it can be conditional, and that starts in your childhood where you got to feel like because as kids we know, like, hey, we like to go over to, what I mean, everybody had their favorite side of the family where it's like, you go over to your grandma's house and you got all your cousins sleeping over, like you want to be at that grandma's house instead of this, you know what I mean, or you don't want to be on this side of the family house because everything is different over there. And it's like, so I'm not really saying that the love was actually that's how they felt conditionally, but as a kid and as a child we probably felt that it was different, um another source includes toxic relationships that use your vulnerabilities against you. It was times myself where I always would say, you know I used to date women that that I was a big value to them, like, and it was a reason, what I mean, because I had a good heart, I had a big heart, so I was of value to them, and my heart was of value to them, and they love what I can do for them, and not it wasn't really what they can do for me. I struggled so much as, you know teenager, as a, growing adult in relationships, because I was, you know, basing my self worth off of how happy I made somebody else. I was basing my self worth off of that, and it wouldn't go good because the minute I feel like I'm not making you happy, or a female, somebody's unhappy with me, I I was down on myself. I wasn't good for nothing. My self worth went down the drain. Not only self worth, but self worth, self esteem, whatever, all of it. You know. Uh, Systems or environments that made you feel unheard or invisible. Let's talk about a career. Let's talk about a career. Let's talk about going into a job and feeling confident, ready to do your thing. And when you get in there, you're just you're broken down to the point where you start doubting yourself as a leader, as a worker, or as an asset. You know, you got to understand, like, the roles you get the roles because of your experience and what you're qualified to do. But it's crazy that you can get in there and you let the element of the environment and people dictate your self-worth when you should know your self-worth. But we get in these environments and we let people, it's crazy, but it's that real, that we let people kill our self worth and really just break it down. And you know what? I ain't gonna lie. It's people who love to do that. It's people who love to take a high confident, high strung, high, energetic individual and just break him down. I mean, it's a game. It's an evil game. And it's like, to the point where you come in there and then you're questioning your self worth. You're questioning, are you good enough? Am I doing a good job? Am I doing this? And they got you on the ropes because they was just like, it wasn't nothing but a little bit of conditioning every day, just picking him apart, picking her apart. Now I got them broke down, questioning their every decision, their every move, their every action. Uh, and then also losses you never had space to process. It's that's big. A lot of us still haven't bounced back, came back from a loss because we never gave it the proper time and the space to process, and we just kept going and didn't really settle, didn't forgive ourselves for that time, and we didn't forgive what we needed to forgive, and that damaged our self-worth. That gave us a opening in there, maybe when we sealed everything up else, but we still got an opening where it kind of messed with our self-worth a little bit. So, I mean, after talking about all those things, how it got broken, I just want to talk about the rebuilding process. So, rebuilding self worth isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to be less. God damn it, that is the real right there. That is the real. It's about becoming, it's about getting back to you. And how many times in life do we have to reset? It's called resetting. You know what I'm saying? I see, you see it all the time where somebody come back like, I'm back. I'm back outside. I'm back at it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't letting nobody steal it no more. Like, you know what I mean? That's, I ain't known that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta had to shake it up off me. That's that's um that's part of the rebuilding process. You know, one thing about it is when you go through these different things, the trauma that kind of damage your self worth. Me, myself, you know what I mean? Definitely an advocate. Going through what I'm going through with the loss of my job, questioning myself, questioning, where am I at? And because, your self worth was, but then, when things happen to you in life, you question. And then you get to questioning, like, am I capable to get back where I was at, or become better, or be more? And you get to question it, you just like, well, where did I go wrong? And then you get to really, then you fall deep into the shadow trap and down the rabbit hole, and then you really get to question yourself. But I think you gotta learn how to go through those things and then recognize what's happening and be able to pick it up. Like I said, acknowledge the damage. You can't heal what you refuse to see. Journaling, therapy, honest reflection are tools of strength, not weakness. So I'm glad I've always been hosting podcasts. I'm glad I'm not scared to get on here and talk to the people and be myself. Therapeutic, therapy. Understanding that. Here's the thing though. Let's talk about this when we talk about self-worth. We shouldn't just be doing it in times of adversity. Like I can't do this when life got, excuse my language, a little fucked up. You know what I mean? I can't just do this because life got a little messed up for me. No, like guide yourself through it. We gonna be doing these all the time, no matter what, no matter what. Because my next move is gonna be a crazy move, and I'm gonna be up, 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 and I'm still get on here and talk that talk. I'm still on here and talk about what we need to do. You know what I mean? This don't let it be because at the same time, that's the vulnerability kicks in when we're brought down to a low. That's where vulnerability comes from. So it's some people that you will never see be of their vulnerable self until something happens to them that brings them down to earth or just brings them to a place of vulnerability. Then you see the real them. Then you see the vulnerable them. Then you see the open them, the honest them, the modest them. You'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, oh, you used to walk around and laugh and we peasants, but now you done got broken down a little bit, and oh, we seeing this whole different person. You know what I mean? So it's just all that, like the rebuilding process. You know what I mean? You got to be able to see that, and you got to be able to see it throughout the, not just when you down, but also when you up. You got to know how to just always keep yourself at a ground level. I'm glad I can truly say I have. I've always kept myself at a ground level, at a neutral level where I've never thought of myself as better than anybody else. I've never tried to, put it out there like that. I just always been unapologetically me. So let's challenge the narrative. Every belief about you're not enough came from somewhere. Ask, who told me this? Was it true then? Is it true now? Yeah, hey, you gotta sit there and have that. Man, who started this whole genre of Ryan ain't shit. You know what I mean? Or he this or he that, like, or he just uh, you know, who started this whole pattern of Ryan's out for himself, or Ryan just, what I mean, it's an angle. He just be trying to, who started all that? You know what I mean? And then I gotta ask myself, and it's like, let's challenge that. Let's challenge that narrative. And then sometimes you just gotta go deep inside and just question and look at that, be like, hold on, let's do an inventory. Let's do a mental inventory. Like, do I come off like this? Is it ego? Do I gotta be like, you know what I mean? But am I sacrificing? Do I get anything personally from the sac? You know what I mean? Like, you just got to do that type of inventory and challenge people's narrative of whatever their thing about you that kind of messed with your damage and made you question your self-worth. Set boundaries is self-respect. Boundaries aren't walls, they're declarations that your inner world has value. Every boundary you hold reinforces your worth. So don't be afraid to walk away from a situation if it messes with your self-worth, if it could damage your self-worth. Don't be afraid to be like, because sometimes I remember after the second Cypher City, it was a lot of things being said about me, and they were kind of messing with me because they were kind of you know messing with my self-worth and shooting at it. And he ain't this, and it was like I kept wanting to really get out there and really be like, F that, put a name on it. I wanted to get real ugly and talk, you know what I mean, and just get to being greasy and getting back on some other stuff, and some stuff that doesn't represent me now. So the thing about it, I had my friends, My true friends. I would have people like my homie Zuck, Jameson. You know what I'm saying? Just cool people. My man Don Cartel, just a lot of good people would just holler at me and be like, "Hey, don't even worry about that, Ryan. Don't even respond back to that. You ain't don't do that. You got a reputation to uphold and you got an image. Like, don't even worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, don't go there with them. And you know what I mean? So it was just like I had to set those boundaries to say anytime that happens, I'm not going to address nothing. You know, um, choose environments that reflect your value. Even though it's rough, because sometimes like you got to really pick. That's also goes in the realm of go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. You know, don't stop being around people that tolerate you. You know, because them people that tolerate you, they really don't. They don't reflect your value. They don't respect you. They just you just there. They tolerate you just because they got to tolerate you, but they don't really. What I mean, they don't really. They don't respect your value. Try to put yourself in rooms that your value is respected, and if your value isn't respected, don't be in that room. I don't even want to hang out with people, and what I mean that this I just I don't know, man. It's got to be progressive. We got to be progressive. The circle I'm around, the people I'm around, it's just got to be good energy and good progressive type people. And you know what I mean, and let the value flow. You know what I mean. I want to be around some motivators and shakers that respect the value. If you don't think I got value, like I'm probably ain't showing up anyway. So you ain't got to worry about if I got to question that. You know, uh, you know what I mean. Go where you celebrate it, not tolerate it. Celebrate your micro wins. Pat yourself on the back. Be your best cheerleader all the time. Healing happens with the small wins. Saying no, asking for help, choosing rest, speaking your truth. Each one is a victory. Each one is a victory because you decided, no matter how you felt it was going to make others feel and how you may feel about it, you stood on it. And when you stand on it, that's a victory for yourself. I used to be a major yes man, a major yes man where I was always yeah. I never knew how to say no because I didn't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I didn't want people to be mad at me. And the crazy thing about that, my son is the same way, and he had to have a talk with me like, Dad, this. I'm like, son, you just like me. You hate to tell people no. I'm like, but once you start establishing them boundaries and knowing your self worth, it won't be a problem telling people no because you'll be okay with that because that's your peace. Protecting your peace is doing what you need to do to protect it. You know what I mean? That means saying no. That means, you know what I'm saying? Not going places where you're not celebrated. You know what I mean? Only tolerated. Like, don't, no. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's just what it is. Um, if it ain't genuine love where you at in the circles you be around, man, I'm not trying to, what am I here for? Like, I can, man, look, I'm a homebody. You know, when I come in his house, the house is me and my wife, and is nothing but love. You know, I ain't got to question whether I feel like I belong in my house, whether I feel like I'm loved in my house, whether I feel, happiness. You know, me and my wife is just there. The happiness is there, the love is there, and I belong. Now, do we get on each other's nerves? Yes, that's what we do. It's called being married. But at the end of the day, my wife loves me, my wife makes me happy, and my wife makes me feel like I belong. That's all I need. And it's genuine, and I know that. I can it ain't I used to I used to always deal with women that did a hell of an acting job. It was I just tell them, I'm like, man, I've just had some good actors. And I can truly say, After 7, 8 years, it's not been a year that she's ever showed me that she knew how to act, because she ain't never did an acting job. It's been 100% genuine from the start, you know, and that's why, to this day, she's Miss James. Is because she, she let me have my self worth and didn't try to rearrange it to her likings. She let me have my self worth and let me keep my self worth and grow it, you know, and make her a part of it. Because one thing about my wife, she lets me be me. She lets me be the man I am, and she trusts me to do what I do. And that's just what it is. And so whenever you're dealing with it like that, and it's just like, your self worth, you ain't got to worry about it being damaged. You just got to make sure you keep control of yourself and don't let nobody else mess with it. So like I said, celebrate those micro wins with yourself. Choose your rest. Say no. You know what I mean? And then ask for help. It's okay. It's okay to reach out to other people you trust and people you feel comfortable with reaching out to, and ask them for help. Each one is a victory, right? And those are micro wins. So every time you say, "Hey, I talked to this person," a lot of times it'd be me. I talk to my big brother. Something bothering me. I talk to my big brother. If I'm not talking to my homies up, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, or any of my friends, I talk to my big brother, and he always got it. He's Johnny on the spot. He's always got it because he knows me. You know what I mean? And like, but he knows one thing about me is I've developed over the years to be a different type of man versus how I was. So, and he knows that. And he just but every time it never fails. Every time I reach out to my brother, it's boom. He gives me exactly whatever topic I'm on. He knows exactly where I'm at, and he gives me the words I need to hear. Um, you know what I'm saying? So, let's so just a few words as we get to the bottom end of this. You know what I mean? Um, Understand this: we were not born broken. Every wound we carry was given to us, and what we were given can be unlearned. So every wound that we carried, it happened, man. It happened. And what happened to us, it can be unlearned. That means it can be forgiven. It can be forgot. It could be learned from. It could be moved forward from. Every wound we've ever had, we can't let it damage our self worth. We got to bounce on from it. You know, Somebody hurt you. Somebody did you wrong. Somebody broke your heart. Uh, Anything. It could be, relationships are big. Relationships are big with self worth, because those are whole episodes where we go through the whole cycle, male and female. You break up from a man, you get divorced or something, it's literally a phase. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, sometimes it could be whole years, sometimes it could be years. It depends on how much damage and the toxic level of where you were at to see how much it killed your self worth. But the bounce back, man, the bounce back, we gotta have it. We cannot let you know our self worth fall every time something happens to us. You know, take it in stride. I mean, look, it's okay to go through the stages of grief. It's okay. It's okay to have those, because I've went through them. I'm going through them. You know what I mean? It's the darkness. It's the darkness. You're dark. Everybody, shut up. Leave me alone. Dark. Sleep. Whatever. It's dark. To okay, sit there and realize what you're doing, and replay it back in your head, and it's like, and get angry, and and this, that, and the other, and then slowly you get out of that, and it's like, okay, let's get something going, something good. Let's get the good stuff. Start back. Let's get the small wins happening. Then those happen. Then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm back. You know, it's easier said than done. Easier said than done, but it can happen. That's what the self worth is about: being able to bounce back and rebuilding it. Rebuilding that self worth is just about taking those damaging things and bouncing back. Um, so let's talk about some quick affirmations. Um, some of them is just basic, but my past does not define my present value. So what you have went through, you know, good or bad, if you've it don't define you who you are now. You know, it only made you stronger. You know, what it did do to your present value, it made you stronger. What your past has did, because if you learn from your past, right? If you rebuild your self worth and learn from your past, your present value should be you're way stronger now. I am allowed to take up space in this world. Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to claim your stake. You belong here. You know, just ain't on the outside and everybody in the inner circle and you just sitting there like, boy, I wish I could be there. Nah, you belong there. You here for a reason. God put all of us here for a reason. Do not ever think you're supposed to be just in the background. You know what I'm saying? Just how they got movies and they got the background act, the background people or the extras. Like, nah, like I mean that's a movie. This is life. You're not an extra around here. You belong here. So act like it. Act accordingly. Walk with self worth. Be, have that swag. And when you walk into the building, you know what I'm saying? I remember man, my homie, rest in peace, Jay Stone, back in my younger days. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was wild, but Jay, he was a wild dude. He did what he did, but every time I seen him, when he walk, if those of you who know him know what I'm talking about, but he was from Detroit, so he come out Averex, he got the buffs on, chest completely always out. He walked with his chest out, just wherever he was at. He usually had a bottle of Moet in his hand. He walked with confidence and walked with that worth. Like, I don't care. I'm out here. This, you know what I mean? I demand. You know what I mean? I demand my respect. And that was just, and I say that because what I mean, he had a different life, but at the same time, it was just the amount of where he knew when he walked out the house, where he stood with himself. You know what I mean? And it's sometimes it's about that. It's about poking your chest out when you having your chest out when you walk, having that slow walk or that you know what I mean, having a certain type of style. You know what I mean? It's about demanding like I'm not a background person in the room. You know what I mean? Um, you know, my needs are valid and deserve to be met. I got valid concerns. They're valid. You know what I'm saying? Very valid concerns. And they deserve to be met. Um, you know, I released a version of me shaped by other people's pain. Yeah, release that. Remember, it's rough. It's different I always used to say, I'm like, for years and years, I always used to be the topic of somebody's bad story. I used to always be the bad guy in somebody's story, for years. And people, and still some people just love to make me the bad guy in their story or make me out to look like a bad guy. And it fits better, it feels better. And but at the same time, I have to learn to release that, like whatever that version of you seem like. I'm not gonna let that stick to me, because the longer I let that stick to me, the more that starts messing with my self worth. Because can you imagine waking up every day and knowing you're the villain in somebody's story? After a while, you get to questioning yourself. You be like, what the hell's so bad about me? why am I the villain in this person's story? And then once again, you start questioning your self worth. Start questioning what you're really about. Maybe I'm not the the good person I think I am. Apparently, I'm the freaking villain in somebody's story. And it's just so you got to release that. You know, so what I mean. It's just overall, you know, I'll just sorry, and I'll just close on I'll just close on this and just like let people know that this self worth, and rebuilding it and somebody tearing it down is, and a lot of times our self worth is really destroyed from people in situations so much. And it's like, but the key to it is understanding we have the power to determine what makes that happen. Not them, but everything's a choice. Everything's on us. This is how it's you. If somebody's got you feeling down and depressed, it's not them that they don't have the power to do it. It's how it's received in your brain. Because some people, okay, let's face it, people know how to give you the guilt trip. People know how to make you feel like like crap, and make you feel like make your confidence feel like you ain't doing that. Like okay, let's just say you got an outfit on and you thinking you killing them, you putting that shit on, and somebody come out and tell you, man, look at them ugly pants and them whack shoes and this that and the other, and you like, hey, you may have spent some money on this, and you just looking like, dang, oh man, I thought this was a pretty dope outfit. You know what I mean? Like, man, I spent a couple dollars on this, and you know what I mean? I thought I was good, and just somebody get the blazing you. Here's the thing: your self worth means it don't matter what I put on. I know it's the shit. Like, I know I look good. I know I'm dressed nice because I know how to dress. I don't care what any of them say because 9 out of 10, them people, if anybody get to talking, they just trying to. A lot of times I look at that whenever people try to damage somebody else and maybe talk about and do stuff to other people, I question what's going on in their life. Because 9 times out of 10, a person who's not confident in himself, he gets his confidence from damaging somebody else's confidence. That's really simple. That's really simple. People, that is like life. And I try to tell my son and everybody like that's the easiest way to look at it. Why is somebody doing this? Blah, 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 this, that, and other, this, and that. Well, do they got any of this? No. Do they got that? No. So they just glazing you talking about you? No. Why? Do they got, well, because they ain't got what you got. 9 out of 10, they jealous and they lack something, and, my son goes through that heavy is because he's blessed, you know what I'm saying, to definitely have caring parents and family that he's had a good life. He has a good life and he's good. I mean, and he's a very expensive kid. I've told him several times he's 14. He needs to go get a freaking job because he's so freaking expensive. And you know what I mean? But it's like, but I tell him all the time on the flip side, I'm like, when he be having issues, I'm like, man, do you know a lot of kids would love to be in your shoes to have what you have? You know what I mean? Not just a loving mother and father, but just all the things he has. I mean, I get it, but boy, I ain't never seen a boy that got all PlayStations and sit there on his phone on the latest iPhone and but don't play decide he just my son is just fortunate and he's blessed and I'm happy, that what I mean, even throughout it all, what I mean, I've been able to, what I mean, do my thing as a father and be able to still provide to his high. But some stuff like that also as a father, I kick in, and that's why I say stuff like, "Hey, we're getting a job," because he's got to learn that a little bit because that helps develop self worth too. Because I don't want him thinking that his whole self worth is based on all his materialistic things. He's got to build that self worth for himself. But yeah, people can damage that. but it's all about how we receive it. So we just don't need to receive. We need to take what people say and just, it's like, it's, if we got that self-worth established in ourselves and set those boundaries and demand that respect and all that, it's not going to phase us. But when we don't have those things established for ourselves, all those little things can get us. I mean, we're super conscious about who we're around. We don't want nobody to say nothing. We got to make sure we impress everybody. If we don't feel like we're impressing everybody, we feel like we're not doing nothing for ourselves, and we're not making the cut, and we feel like crap and like we don't belong. So we just got to really, really channel how we receive people's opinions and other people's value of us. Know your self worth. But on that note, this is Ryan James. It's been UPNO Live. Thanks you guys for tuning in. And this has been Let's Talk. And we've been talking about rebuilding self worth tonight. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Be easy, be cool, keep it moving, and man, stay blessed. All right, peace.
Bruh. Walk with me. The way I carry this weight graceful is so different. Cause my path and your path is so different. And they ain't never the same things, it's so shifting. Gotta adjust so much, feel like I'm cold shifting. When you ain't gaining no ground, the pain ain't around. It's only when you trying to be great, they tearing you down. Got a hindsight of these snakes, they properly found. And I ain't boxing in the dirt with you. I let that metal get a hearse for you. I'm condescending, got a verse for you. Whatever it takes, I display the world through you. Ain't got enough time to explain the world to you. All I can do is make your skin tougher. Gonna be some hard times cause men struggle. Especially when you trying to move, the devil send for you. That's why I always play the groove, but I ain't dance for you. I keep both of my hands clean, I put a band on. I season beef before I cook while I stand over. Your poker face telling it all, yeah the scam's over. And I ain't never been victimized, so I can't coach you through a victim's eyes. All I can show you is my village planted seeds, then it grew, now I visualize. So the struggles I go through, it ain't a curse, it's a gift from God. And I've been grateful with having nothing and I'm still alive. If I ain't never told the truth, I guess it's just a lie. If I ain't never told the truth, I guess it's just a lie. I guess I'm made for this grit, but shit is still a lie. And I can't give you the whole thing, I conceal a lot. I put these glasses on in the storm